One of the things I love about Pokémon is just the vast diversity in every aspect of the game, whether that be with unique typings, fun designs, cool abilities, creative names, or what I want to talk about, move categories. As I mentioned in my 4 move slot syndrome video, there are over 900 moves in Pokémon. These moves are separated into 3 categories after Generation 4, which are physical, special, and status. However, there are even more specific categories of moves that really have no way of telling where they belong without looking them up. So in this video, I'll be explaining all of the subcategories of Pokémon moves, the abilities or items they interact with, and some of the lore explanations as to how they work. I will only be including categories that are pretty much impossible to tell in-game that require you to do some research. With all that being said, let's get into the categories. The first category of moves I'll be looking at is biting moves. These are all physical attacking moves that involve the user biting the target with its teeth or fangs. Duh, of course. But let's take a further look. Biting moves interact with the ability Strong Jaw in that it increases the power of these moves by 50%. These are moves like Bite, Crunch, and any move with the word Fang. This category is pretty self-explanatory, and the only moves that might need a bit more explanation are Jaw Lock and Fishious Rend, as they do not explicitly have Bite, Crunch, or Fang in their names. The concept of Jaw Lock is that the user chomps on the target and keeps them there in place, preventing both the user and the target from switching out. The Japanese version of the move translates to seize with teeth. Fishious Rend is described to be an attack where the user rends the target with its gills, and the Japanese version of the move translates to Gill Bite. Next is Pulse moves. These are all special attacking or status moves that either have the word Aura or Pulse in the name. Pulse moves interact with the ability Mega Launcher in that it increases the power of these moves by 50%. I feel like Pulse moves could also include moves with Beam or Shot in the name, like Solar Beam or Electro Shot. Not like Electro Shot needs to be buffed anymore, but the animation and description of the moves certainly look like a Pulse to me. I also feel like it was a missed opportunity to give Armarouge Mega Launcher, since its arms literally fold into a bazooka on the animation of some of its moves, like its signature move Armor Cannon. Armarouge also learns 3 Pulse moves, Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse, and Dragon Pulse, and I feel like Armor Cannon could easily have been made into a Pulse move. That would be pretty insanely powerful though, since it would become a 180 base power, 100% accurate move, so I get why they didn't do it. Next is sound-based moves. These are all either special attacking or status moves that are generally described to use some kind of sound, whether that be through a Pokemon's voice or using its body in such a way that creates vibrations to produce sound waves. Sound-based moves interact with the abilities Soundproof, Punk Rock, and Liquid Voice. Pokemon with the ability Soundproof are immune to all sound-based moves. Pokemon with the ability Punk Rock take half damage from sound-based attacking moves and have the power of their own sound-based attacking moves increased by 30%. And Pokemon with the ability Liquid Voice have all of their sound-based moves turned into water-type moves, regardless of their original type. Sound-based moves also interact with the held item Throat Spray, in that after a Pokemon uses a sound-based move, Throat Spray will activate and increase the holder's special attack by 1 stage. Pokemon hit with the move Throat Chop will not be able to use any sound-based moves for 2 turns, as their throat is too damaged to make any noise. Additionally, all sound-based moves hit through Substitute with the exception of the move Howl. Next is punching moves. These are all physical attacking moves that are generally described to either explicitly be a punch or be some other kind of attack using one's fists. Punching moves interact with the ability Iron Fist and the held item Punching Glove. Iron Fist increases the power of punching moves by 20%, and Punching Glove increases the power of punching moves by 10% while also preventing those moves from making contact with the target. A lot of the moves that fall under the category of being a punching move make sense, as they literally have punch in the name. Some of them need some more explanation though. Sky Uppercut is a punching move because an uppercut is a type of punch. Headlong Rush is a punching move because the Japanese version of it is a reference to a sumo wrestling move that involves punching, and Meteor Mash is a punching move for a similar reason. The Japanese version is called Comet Punch, which is also the English name of an existing move that is also a punching move. Sucker Punch is not a punching move because the Japanese version is Surprise Attack, which does not explicitly involve punching. Next is slicing moves. These are all physical and special attacking moves that are generally described to involve cutting or slicing in some way. Chances are, if the word cut, slash, axe, sword, or blade are in the name of the move, it's a slicing move. Slicing moves interact with the ability Sharpness in that it increases the power of these moves by 50%. A lot of these moves make sense, but there's one in particular that I want to point out, Population Bomb. This again goes back to the Japanese version of the move, which mostly translates to mouse cut, which would make sense for it to be boosted by sharpness. I also want to point out another missed opportunity that ties into what I said earlier about Armarouge getting Armor Cannon, which is that Cerulege should have gotten sharpness. Its signature move, Bitter Blade, is a slicing move, and it can learn 3 other slicing moves, X-Scissor, Solar Blade, and Night Slash. Also, its arms are literally blades. Next is Ball and Bomb moves. These are all physical and special attacking moves that are generally described to be based on a ball or a bomb. Ball and Bomb moves interact with the ability Bulletproof, in that Pokemon with this ability are immune to these kinds of moves. What counts as a ball or bomb move though is honestly pretty arbitrary outside of literally having ball or bomb in the name of the move. I did find a somewhat common pattern in the Japanese names for the moves, which was the word cannon. Rock Wrecker, Octazooka, and Beak Blast all have cannon in their Japanese names, but that wouldn't explain why moves like Flash Cannon, Armor Cannon, and Hydro Cannon aren't affected by this ability. In English, Blast tends to be another word used for this category of move, but overall it's not super clear what counts as a ball or bomb move. It's also interesting that Aura Sphere appears here and in Pulse moves, showing that these moves can appear in multiple categories at once. Next is Powder and Spore moves. These are all status moves with either the word Powder or Spore in the name. Pretty straightforward. Powder and Spore moves interact with the Safety Goggles held item, the ability Overcoat, and the Grass type as a whole, in that Pokemon with any of those previous 3 things are immune to all Powder and Spore moves. It's also worth mentioning that immunity to Powder and Spore moves also includes immunity to the Effect Spore ability, an ability that makes it so that contact moves have a chance of leaving the attacker with a status condition. Lastly, we have Wind moves. These are all attacking or status moves that are generally described with the words Wind, Storm, Air, or something in that realm. Wind moves interact with the abilities Wind Rider and Wind Power. Wind Rider grants the user immunity to all wind moves, and boosts the user's attack by 1 stage when hit with a wind move, or if Tailwind takes effect on the user's side of the battle. Wind Power charges the user every time it gets hit with a wind move, making it so that its next electric type attacking move deals double damage. And those are all of the specific subcategories of moves in Pokemon. Let me know in the comments if you feel I missed any, or if I made any mistakes with my explanations. Also, which of these move categories is your favorite? As always, I appreciate if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Thanks for watching.